Leading with humor. What does it really mean? Why is humor important in the workplace? Wait, I don't think I'm funny. Oh, well, I think I'm really funny, but other people don't appreciate my sense of humor. Hi, I'm Naili Makangu. I'm the Mary Poppins of business transformation. I'm also known as the founder of Athena Leaders, a management and leadership consultancy that is determined to bring the gift of laughter and joy to the workplace so that we can design happy, high-performing teams. For us, it's not just about getting things done or getting to results. We know we'll do that. What drives us and our passion lies in making sure that we get to the result with our teams happy, our people looking at the workplace as if it was a playground. Today, just to enforce that view and that vision, I brought to you the lovely Dr. Vanessa Marcié. With Vanessa, we are going to look at leading with humor. What does it really mean? How can you bring it to your organization? Why it is important to look at humor, especially when there's a lot of conflict in the organization or we are going through a difficult time or a big change. We're also going to look at your humor bones, and if you're wondering what's that, then keep watching. If you have any question and want to reach us to us, please feel free to find more information in the show notes and leave us comments as well, as we love being able to connect with you as well. What are you waiting for? Let's get started.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Marcié and I'm the founder and CEO of Leading with Humour, your place for leadership, humor, and to laugh your way to success and change the world one laugh at a time.
Hi Vanessa, it's lovely to have you, to be able to talk to you, to be honest. I think we met at one event where you were also talking about humor, and I really enjoyed that event, and I thought, oh, I need to share that with my followers and my community as well, because I believe that humor is one of those topics that are a bit overrated. We all love humor. We love going and watching comedies. We love going to theater. We love to laugh. But when it comes to work, somewhere along the line, we lose humor. So I thought I would love to get you on board and with your expertise to really dig into this world of humor and leadership. So the first question, why don't we have enough humor at work?
I think, as you mentioned, along the way, someone passed the memo that we should forget to be happy, joyful, and humorous at work. I don't know where it's coming from and when it stopped, because we, as children, we are quite playful and we interact with others, and we love humor. Mm-hmm. And then we decided that we have to leave our personality at the doorstep of work and be serious. Mm-hmm. That's the only way to be performant and productive, is apparently to be serious. And it's untrue. Yeah. It hasn't been backed by science. If you are mean, if you are serious, if you never laugh and only focus on work, that's not going to make you more productive.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one thing that, again, talking about when we were young and this ability of laughing, one of the things that we forget is that most of the social skills that we've learned were actually either running around or playing in the playground. Because if you look at the way a playground is structured, there's a lot there where kids get to learn. They learn to, argue with someone and then forgive them. They learn to, try different, play with different people and play different games. And they all do that in harmony. But again, once we get to the world of work, we kind of forget a little bit about that. So, where, in your views, what are the key components if I wanted to bring humor and leadership? But first of all, let's start by humor and leadership. What is your definition of leading with humor? How do you explain that to your clients?
Well, for me, leading with humor is being an emotional, intelligent leader. Yeah. And I discovered being a comedian and having had a lot of experience in the workplace, 20 years in the workplace, and being miserable most of the time in the workplace, I realized that humor is a skill that is encapsulating pretty much everything you need to have to be an emotional, intelligent leader. You have self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and social skills.
Yeah.
So you need to understand yourself, because humor is part of your personality. It's something very important that determines who you are, but nobody is taking it seriously.
Yeah.
You need to understand others, and that's something that we fail to think about when we use humor most part of the time. Hence, toxic culture, misunderstanding, harassment, sexism, racism, etc. Cover under the cover of humor. You need to manage yourself in a sense that it can be used strategically. Most part of the people, they think, oh, my sense of humor is unique. I can't work, I was born like that, so you take it or leave it. I'm not going to change. And again, it is not true. You can change it, you can work on it, and you can adapt it to people and situations. And finally, social skills, because humor helps you to build strong relationship with people. It is a very effective way to create an authentic connection with someone.
Yeah. And I agree deeply on what you're saying, especially when it comes to raising your emotional intelligence. And I was smiling even when you talk about when people say, this is how I am. In fact, I do a lot of work on personality types, on DISC and emotional intelligence. And one of my key quotes is, don't let anyone to get away with this is how I am kind of type of behavior, because I think this is one of the biggest blocker that stops people from confronting themselves. The piece that you said about self-awareness. So if you're not aware of your behavior, then how can you make sure that you also affecting other people in the right way? And in fact, like they say, your personality could be the same, but you do have a way of changing your behavior as well. So I guess if we look into that in terms of humor, because you mentioned different types of humors, what are the types of humor, especially for someone who will say, I am not funny, I'm not naturally funny? How would you counteract that statement?
I think it's a myth. Everybody has a sense of humor. It's just that what I say to my clients when they say, if somebody approached me and say, I'm not funny, I don't have a sense of humor, or my friend doesn't have a sense of humor. No, it's just that you might not have met your audience yet. If you think about it, if you are a comedian, if you are a fan of Tina Fey, and you go to a Louis C.K. gig, a much more aggressive comedian, you are not necessarily going to find him funny, because you don't respond to the same type of humor. So true. If your friend don't find you funny, maybe you should change friends. Think about it.
I'm gonna put that on my list.
No, you just have to understand what is making you tick as humor, what is the type of humor which is in agreement with your values, and what type of humor you should use to connect with another person. Again, what is making you laugh is not the same thing as what somebody else is going to find funny. And that's when there is like miscommunication in a way, because you are not speaking the same language.
Exactly.
So you might have a sense of humor, but you have to find a person who is speaking the same language as you.
Yeah. And I guess it goes back to the correlation with the personality types. We have different personality, different energies, and you might think that it's easier to get on with certain type of people, whereas other people it's more difficult. It's pretty much that maybe if you go back to humor, you're just not on the same channel or on the same vibe when it comes to the types of humor.
Yeah, in fact, science has categorized 4 types of humor, and 2 are negatives and 2 are positives. If people go on my website, they can take a free quick quiz to understand their sense of humor and get more more in depth into the analysis of it. And the thing is that people, they think there is only one theirs, where they have many, and we are all composed of those 4 types of humor, only that one is often more dominant than the others. And what I'm working on with my clients is, rather than having one type of humor, which is often taking control of the situation, you adapt the one that is required in the specific situation. If I want to bond with my team, if I want to talk to my hierarchy, if I want to shine in an interview, then I'm going to understand the other type of humor, my type of humor, and use the right one in order to connect immediately.
Yeah. So if you can give us an example of, for example, one of the scenario where you arrive in a toxic in an organization with a slightly toxic culture, and you've been asked to work with the management team to change their perception and use humor to improve how they lead. How do you do that, and how do you get people to really take onto that journey of changing their behavior and embracing humor, especially if they are a bit skeptical about that as well?
Well, I do a lot of work around toxic culture and diversity and inclusion, because as I mentioned before, under the cover of humor, you have a lot of discrimination. It's easy when you are a woman. You often have to encounter inappropriate comments in the workplace, such as, "Hey, you are a woman. You find your place in the kitchen," and things like that. And it's not only women; it's even men. But anyway, if you are, depending your background, your where you are coming from, your culture, if you have an handicap, or if you have another sexual orientation, anything can be a focus for aggressive humor.
Yeah.
And so the problem is that people, they don't realize, I believe that most part of the time, people don't realize that they are impacting and hurting other people. They just think it's a joke. You have to understand it as a joke. They don't understand that they are actually hurting someone with their humor. And that is fostering a toxic culture. So I go to companies and I explain the different types of humor, the difference of humor in genders, for example, or in cultures as well.
Yes.
Because the sense of humor depends where you have been raised, what's your culture. There is many things in your sense of humor. And then we do games and exercises so they understand the impact. And they get to use their sense of humor and learn to adapt it to people and situations.
Yeah. And just out of interest, have you ever got someone to go upstage and do some stand-up comedy as part of the training, and just to get other people laugh and loosen up as well?
Yeah, actually, one of the most popular game I do is improvisation.
Yeah.
So I ask people, and you went I guess we did it during the exercise, during the workshop. I ask people to answer like random questions that have nothing to do with their work. And I want them to do that for different reasons. One, because they get an opportunity to do a bit of public speaking and overcome their fear of being judged. And that is stopping a lot of us, especially when you are using humor. People try to be funny, and it's a bit like trying to make someone fall in love with you. Doesn't work.
Yes.
So they are like, oh my God, they are intellectualizing it to the point that it's not spontaneous. And it's not making people laugh. So I know that I mentioned that it looks like quite a bit of work, but you need to understand the basics of humor. But the spontaneity can be engineered. As a comedian, because I do stand-up comedy myself, we generate material in doing those exercises where we improvise, and then we can understand what is making other people laugh. What did I say that is actually making other people laugh? Yeah. And we note that and we work on that. And that's what I want to share with people, so they can notice when they make people laugh and realize what is actually impacting others rather than making them laugh. And also because this kind of exercise is tapping into their creative brain and help them to not overthink the situation, not overthink what they are saying, and be themselves and connect with other people in a more authentic way. Yeah.
And I guess as well, if you, especially looking at what we are going through at the moment, is a really challenging time for anybody, even more so those in the leadership position, where you have to bring the laughter, the joy, this idea of a playground to the workplace, yet you might not feel it because of personal situation, homeschooling, or whatever is going on into your personal life. So how do you help people, or what advice you give to people to continue nurturing this space of humor at the office, and how they can do that with their teams, even at a very basic level?
Well, there are many ways to interact and to use humor. First, we are all in Zoom meetings at the moment. There are many opportunities in Zoom meetings to do something that has nothing to do with work, either to use humor to chair a meeting, to close a meeting, or to entertain people in a meeting that is more social than work related. You can also send jokes and funny videos to people. It can be as small as that. I keep telling to people, you don't need to be a stand-up comedian. I am a stand-up comedian, but it's a hobby, it's part of my, what I do in my free time. But you don't need to be a stand-up comedian to do that. I mean, your goal should be to leave every interaction making people at least smile. And we are all able to bring a smile in the other person. So that's something that is in our power. We all have the humor superpower. We can all do that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes we forget about that, because I genuinely agree. It's a lot easier than we think, bringing a smile to someone's face. And in fact, it's probably the simplest act of kindness as well, which will make you feel good, just getting that smile back from other people as well. Yeah.
I studied during the first lockdown. We were receiving, I don't know for you, but I received tons of jokes, videos, memes for the first few months. And even for me, that was a lot. And
Lots of laughter.
Humor. And I was like, what is going on? I had people who didn't interact with me for the last few years. And suddenly I was receiving, messages and jokes and videos. I was like, there is something there. And I realized that in times of crisis, people use humor to connect with someone. It is also a way to communicate and say, I care for you. I don't know if you are well or not. And I might feel that is tricky to ask you, are you alive, or are you sick, or is everybody okay in your family? So if I send you a joke, if you are well, then it's going to make you laugh and you are going to say thank you and we can reconnect. But if you are not, then when you will be ready, you will connect with me. And so that has no consequences. But at least I care for you and I try to make you smile today.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think one of the issues as well I've heard, I don't know if you came across that, during the first lockdown as well, there was a lot of companies or managers who struggled to bring this idea of not just laughter, but bringing the team around and build this sense of togetherness, and just to collaborate a little bit better, or to have a drink, after work, or even at lunchtime, just to create that space where they will come together without talking about work as they did before. However, there's quite a lot of different feedback. Some people absolutely loved it, but some people hated the idea of faking it in front of the camera. I'm not that close with my colleagues, and why I have to do it this way. I guess that goes back as well in what we said earlier about the emotional intelligence and really how important it is. Because if you are in an organization where you don't trust each other and the culture is not that strong to begin with, it makes it a lot more difficult to even, to make people smile and laugh, because they're already wondering what's their ulterior motive in everything that you are doing as well.
Yeah, that's why what I do is much deeper than people might think. It's not just about a joke. Humor is not just about a joke. It's a mindset. It's like, and as you mentioned, it can be a way to assess if there is enough trust and psychological safety within your team. If you are not able to joke, if people don't trust each other enough to be vulnerable and allow laughter and game and fun to happen within a meeting, for example, maybe there is something wrong there. Because they should trust each other to allow them to be vulnerable and to make fun of the situation, of themselves. So there is something much deeper in humor that we might think.
Yes, 100%. And I love the fact that you touch on vulnerability, because that's a topic for another video that I'm planning. But again, leadership and vulnerability is something that is not very thought about. But as you've clearly said, it's one of the things that also needs to happen in an environment if you want to then enjoy a positive workplace with lots of laughter, lots of humor. And again, at the end of the day, people will be more productive than what people think. Just one question, because you talked a lot about comedian, being a comedian, and obviously I've heard the story before, and I loved it. So I thought it would be good if you could share with us your story of waking up one day and go like, I'm just gonna try, to become a stand-up comedian. And I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, well, it happened because I used to be very scared of public speaking, so scared that when I had to present my PhD research abroad for the first time, I was sick for 2 days before going on stage, because I was in Canada at this big conference and there was a poster with like 5,000 participants, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be on stage in front of 5,000 people, and it was my first time. I got sick and I was like, I'm not going to do it, I can't. Until I realized that in academic conferences, if you have 10 people, you are very popular. But
so you had way more than that.
And I was also an assistant professor at the time during my PhD, and I had to teach every day. So it was really a problem to be that anxious and scared to go and talk in front of people. So when I moved to London, I heard about stand-up comedy, which is not really popular in the French culture. I don't know if people realize I'm French. If you were wondering what was the accent, it's
now
French.
You
know. And so I was like, oh, that's intriguing. So I saw this ad for a stand-up comedy workshop, and I was like, okay, let's try that. I like to challenge myself. And at the end of the 2 days workshop, you could go on stage, and that was the most scary moment of my life. I thought I was going to die before going on stage. But the moment the first person starting to laugh, that was the most beautiful feeling in the world. You were feeling so much love, so much reward. So it was just, I was so high after that I couldn't sleep. It was like I had such a rush of endorphin and serotonin, and I was like, oh my God, I was hooked. I just wanted to
people to laugh. Yeah, wow. And how long ago has it been since you've started?
Now it's been 5 years now.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. And you also mentioned that you are planning on putting together workshops where you bring other stand-up comedians as well.
Yeah, so I do workshops and events and courses where I basically help everybody to use humor in their daily life, whatever it is at work or in their personal life. And also I just launched our own comedy club. I called it comedy therapy. I think it's quite relevant at the moment. So we invite people every month to come to our events, which I invite some comedian friends, people they can discover. They have the surprise of who is going to be in the lineup. And we also have a Q&A, so people can actually get to know the comedian and to ask questions. And last time it was supposed to last for an hour, and I had to kick people out of the Zoom because after 2 hours, like, guys, don't you have a life? You should
go home. That's the thing when you're not booking any venue now, the time expands, right?
I love Zoom. I mean, I love, because I've never gigged that much when it was physical. Now I think in 2 weeks I'm gigging in Seattle.
Wow, brilliant. You can be everywhere whilst you're still at home and nice and healthy, right? Yeah. But now going back on the topic about the human in leadership, sometimes, especially, assuming that you get someone who's going into that and really embracing this idea of humor, and especially using humor to diffuse the situation, what advice can you give to people when something happens and they're not really comfortable with humor, but something negative happened in the office, there's a confrontation or conflict happening, and they want to respond with humor just to kind of diffuse the situation and also to connect with the other person? How could they do that?
Well, if they are not familiar and at ease with humor, they need to work on their comedy muscle, on their humor muscle. Because it's not like, I mean, it's like a marathon. You are not going to do a marathon, deciding one day, buying some training shoes and just register for New York Marathon. That's not going to work like that. You need to exercise, you need to get trained, you need to start with the building and then the park, and then, and it's the same thing with humor. You need to own your jokes, you need to be confident. So the first thing that I say to people is to build their trust circle. So meaning that people they trust and they can try comedy with them, and they will give feedback in what is funny, what is not, and they will get their confidence slowly in a safe environment before maybe trying outside, where in a situation where it's low stake. For example, you go to the grocery or you go to the florist and you try a bit of humor. Maybe you should change supermarket if you're upsetting the
Every time you go shopping, you give it a try, and you never know, you might get some freebie.
If you are really not good, you should move borrow. But once you get confident, then you can go to the office and you would feel much better, and because people react to your level of energy and confidence. So you can have the best joke in the world. If you are not confident, if you have a low energy, people are not going to laugh.
Yeah, I agree. And what have you ever been in a situation where it was really, really tough to get someone to find their inner humor, I have to say, if there's such a thing?
Well, I had situations where I had one of my clients has a very aggressive sense of humor, and it's always the result of some inner trauma, because humor is a defense mechanism, especially when it is aggressive. So everybody who think I'm overpowering people because I use aggressive humor, and so I'm in the place, I own the situation and control it. It's actually the contrary. You're actually showing to people that you are feeling vulnerable and you are protecting yourself. And so I had clients like that who had layers and layers of, they built this wall and they protected themselves with a very aggressive sense of humor. And I have an aggressive sense of humor as well. And I realized that it was born because of, spending years in male-dominated industries and having to be the target of mockery at work. And so that was the way you attack before being attacked. And so, but even that, but you need to get deeper and to understand, the root cause of that, and to work on transforming it and going from one type to another before you are able to play with all the component of humor.
That's true. Again, it goes back to one of the key points that's pretty much repeated throughout. Is really improving your level of self-awareness. Really, you need to be self-aware and develop your emotional intelligence, and then you can start thinking about your humor muscle. And again, just as a reminder to anybody watching and you wanted to find out what your type of humor is, Vanessa, you have something on your website where people can answer a quiz, right? So I'll put the link in the show notes as well for anyone watching, because I think I might do one as well, just to see what kind of humor I have as well.
You might be surprised.
Yes, exactly. I might find out, something that I didn't even know about myself. I like to think that I'm funny, but everybody thinks so about themselves, right? Until you actually find out. Well, it was lovely having you, and I personally learned quite a lot, and also definitely love your energy and love the way I think there should be a lot of people out there that talks a lot about laughter at work, not just because of what's happening now, but it's because the future of work, everything will change, and we need to find ways to keep connecting and to stay authentic with ourselves as well. And I think humor is a great way of doing that. For anyone who wanted to find out more about you, what's the best way of reaching out to you?
Well, definitely the website and also social media. So Leading with Humour is on Instagram and Facebook, and or connecting with me on LinkedIn as well if people have questions. So yeah, or sending an email to vanessa@leadingwithhumour.com. As simple as that.
Perfect. And as a parting last bit of advice, what can anyone watching this feeling quite excited about humor? What is the one thing you can tell them to make sure that once they stop with this video, they continue with that high energy and spirits?
Well, definitely, you should watch what information you are consuming, and be mindful about consuming positive and maybe funny, content that can help, develop your funny bone.
Yes. That's nice, yeah. So if you want to develop your funny bones, make sure that you surround yourself with positive and funny content, and you can pick things up from that. And also find out about Vanessa's stand-up comedies, because I will definitely be attending one and watch her in action there as well.